now. Um, my Ethernet has stopped working, so I'm using the data on my cell phone. So hopefully the connection will be as good as it is usually. But if not, please let me know if it's too bad for you. One possibility would be for me to turn off my video and just present the OneNote document. So that will be one way to improve the quality if things get bad, right? Okay, so are there any questions or concerns pertaining to anything we have covered so far? Okay, if not, let me just remind you quickly what we discussed yesterday. We saw these two theorems, one of which was essentially for you to prove on your own, theorem 9.12, which says that if you have a three connected graph, you expand it at any vertex of degree 4 or more, then the resulting graph is also three connected, right? And the converse of that, essentially the converse, says that in any three connected graph, which has at least 5 vertices, you can always find an edge. When you contract that edge, the resulting graph is still three connected. Okay, so this is an induction tool for three connected graphs. I mentioned the corollary of these two results, which is that for any three connected graph, you can build it starting from K4 by adding edges or expanding vertices at each step. So at every step, you will have a three connected graph, and you will be able to construct your desired graph in this manner by an appropriate sequence of edge additions and vertex expansions. Okay, so that's a consequence of these two theorems. And I want to also mention that it may seem that my own research is completely theoretical and therefore I don't make any non-trivial use of a computer except to write my papers. This is not true. I actually make extensive use of computations to discover conjectures and sometimes to also guide myself in proving certain conjectures. And what really helps in this process is generation theorems. When you have a generation theorem for a certain class of graphs, you can actually use that to exhaustively compute all graphs in that family up to some number of vertices. Of course, you are limited by computation power, and then you can use code to check conjectures on the graphs you have discovered in this manner. So you will be able to check exhaustively for all graphs up to a certain number of vertices, at which point your computer basically gives up. Right. So for many of my conjectures, I've gone up to 20, 24 vertices at times just to verify. And what's really useful is a generation theorem. So this generation theorem that you see here gives you a way to generate all three connected graphs. And it is more efficient than exhaustively generating all the graphs and then checking for three connectedness. Okay. So for those of you who are computationally inclined, this is another interesting um, use of this kind of theorem. You can actually use it to compute stuff. Okay. Anyways, so we haven't yet proved theorem 9.10, which is restated here. So let us prove this. Okay, this is the main goal for today. Okay. So as I remarked yesterday, it's non-trivial because you see, it's not that for every edge when you contract it, the graph is three connected. It just says that there exists an edge like this. So your proof needs to essentially find this edge. Our proof is going to be constructive, like many proofs in structural graph theory, in the sense that you can actually convert your proof into an algorithm. And for those CS theory inclined, it will be a polynomial time algorithm, but I won't talk about that too much here. So if you're interested in that, you can think about it on your own. It's not too difficult. Okay, so we are going to essentially have a constructive proof of this result. Yeah, but the proof we will see will not directly look very constructive. So you may have to think a bit more to make it more constructive. Okay. Anyway, so let's get started. So we want to show that there exists an edge such that when you contract that edge, the graph is 3 connected. If you want to find an edge with this property, it might also be useful to understand when does an edge not have this property. So under what circumstances is it true that when you contract that edge, the resulting graph is not 3 connected? Why does this happen? And understanding that might help us in finding an edge that has the desired property. Okay, so that's the spirit in which we are going to carry out this discussion. So consider the following. Okay, so the question is, under what circumstances do we lose 3 connectivity? What I mean is, consider the following situation. You've got a 3 connected graph, and you've got an edge such that when you contract the edge, the resulting graph is not 3 connected. Okay? So why does this happen? Can we gather some more information about the graph based on this situation, right? Okay. So I should mention that this is a graph of order 4 or more, right? Sorry, order 5 or more, my bad, right? So when you contract an edge, the resulting graph has at least 4 vertices. Note that the number of vertices in G contract E is at least 4. So if it is a complete graph up to multiple edges, so with multiple edges, then clearly it is 3 connected because K4 is 3 connected. And then all the other complete graphs will be 3 connected. So if this graph is complete with a star, so I mean there could be multiple edges, then clearly it is 3 connected. And that is a contradiction to our hypothesis. We assume that the graph after contracting the edge is not 3 connected. Okay. Sorry, I need to silent my cell phone. Okay. So this leads to a contradiction. So that means that G contract E has a pair of non-adjacent vertices. Right? Okay. Well, in that case, because it's not 3 connected, there has to be either a 1 vertex cut or a 2 vertex cut. Notice that when you contract an edge of a connected graph, the resulting graph is still connected. So I'm not going to even discuss the possibility that the graph is disconnected. It is clearly connected. Clearly, it is connected. So there are 2 possibilities. Either G contract E has a cut vertex or a 2 vertex cut. Okay, let's deal with this possibility quickly. So you have this 1 vertex and the graph breaks into 2 pieces when you remove this vertex, or more, 2 or more, doesn't matter. I'm drawing at least 2, but it could be more. Okay, is this even possible? We had a 3 connected graph, we contracted one edge. Could we get a graph that is not even 2 connected? Let's think about it. Let us call the contraction vertex W. Let W denote the contraction vertex. right? So what do I mean? There was this edge E, you contracted it, and you got a smaller graph. This is the vertex W, okay? So W could either be this vertex, which is the cut vertex you see here, or it could be in one of the components. Let us deal with the simple case where W is in one of the components. What is the opposite of contraction? You expand that vertex and you go back to the original graph. Notice that V will be a cut vertex in the original graph as well. So if this is a situation in G contract E, then V is a cut vertex in the original graph as well. Is this clear to everyone? Do you see why when you expand the vertex W, you will get a graph where V is still a cut vertex? Okay. So it's good to think of both possibility, both directions. Going from G to the smaller graph, G contract E, and then going back from this graph to the big graph by expanding the contraction vertex. Those are two ways of looking at the same thing. And those two ways together turn out to be very useful. Okay. So then the other possibility is that the contraction vertex itself is the cut vertex. So maybe this cut vertex is W itself. Okay. What happens in this case? Can somebody tell me what is the problem in this case? I claim that this is also not possible. Let's give the ends of E two names. Let E equal to xy. So what is the problem in this case? What if W, the contraction vertex, is a cut vertex in G contract E? Does somebody see what's the problem with this case? What is the contradiction we can get?
Then W becomes a cut vertex.
No, so the original graph, there is no W, right? In the original graph, there is an edge E. But you are going in the right direction.
E becomes
So
a
this
cut
is,
edge.
you are
Right.
also going in the right direction, but you're not yet there. It's not going to be a cut edge. Yes, there is a two vertex cut in the original graph. So it's not a cut edge, but the ends of E form a vertex cut. So let me explain why it is not a cut edge. It may not be this way. You see, it may not have to be this way. This is not necessarily the situation. What could happen in G is that you have this edge xy, and now the neighbors of x and y could be in both sides. So it may not be a cut edge, but it will, the two ends of the edge will be a two vertex cut. Is that clear? There cannot be any edge in the, let's say this is a, there are two components. Let us for now assume that there are two components, h1 and h2. I claim that there does not exist any edge that goes from vertices of h1 into, so both h1 and h2 include w, right? I claim that there cannot be any edge from the vertices of h1 minus xy to, there does not exist an edge from this set to this set. And that means that when I delete x and y, those two parts will be disconnected. Okay? Does everybody agree with me on this? So in this case, we get that xy is a two vertex cut in G. And that is again a contradiction because a graph G is 3 connected and therefore it cannot have a 2 vertex cut. Okay? Good. Perhaps perhaps a better drawing than this, now that I think about it again. Let me make a better drawing. X, Y, and let me use some colors here. So let's say this was one of your blocks or components containing W. Let me make another one here. Yeah, so I think this is a much better drawing that illustrates what is going on. And all your edges will go like this. And now it is clearer that when you delete the 2 vertices X and Y, your graph is disconnected. The graph G. Okay? Good. So that's not possible. So you cannot have a cut vertex. This basically leads us to a contradiction. So the only possibility is that your graph is a 2 vertex cut. You contracted an edge and your resulting graph has a 2 vertex cut. Okay? So now let's come to that situation. G contract E has a 2 vertex cut. Say UV. Okay? So now you have this situation. And let me just make 2 components for the sake of illustration, but the arguments will work even when you have more than 2 components. So let's say you have something like this. You have a 2 vertex cut, U and V. Okay? So there could be more components, but I'm just drawing 2 sides. Doesn't matter. Okay. So what can we say in this case? Where is the vertex W? Can someone tell me where is the vertex W? Can the vertex W be somewhere here? Does anybody see a contradiction in this situation? What's the problem? Why can't W be in the red part and not equal to U or V? Does anybody see a contradiction? Think of going back from G contract E to G by expanding the vertex W and try to visualize what happens. No? I claim that there is a 2 vertex cut in G if W is not equal to U or V. If W is not in UV, then I claim that G has a 2 vertex cut. Does anybody see it? W is the contraction vertex. Shivam, W is the contraction vertex. So go back to this drawing. We contracted the edge E, and the new vertex we obtained, I'm calling it W. Okay, so I claim that the contraction vertex W, if it's not in the set UV, then the graph G has a 2 vertex cut. And that 2 vertex cut is UV itself. Do you see that? If you expand this vertex, you're making a local modification, right? What happens is this vertex becomes an edge and you split the vertices like this. You split the neighbors like this, right? But it still remains that UV is a 2 vertex cut in the resulting graph. Right? Exactly. So yeah, so it has to be u or v, right? So W has to be either u or v. Right? And so now let's make a drawing. So let's say W is equal to V. Okay. So I've got this W equal to V, or rather I should say V is the same as W. And you've got U, and you've got this situation. Sorry, maybe let me use colors. Right. Okay, and now if you go back to the original graph, now I want to go back to the original graph. So this is the graph G contract E, and now I want to go back to G. So how do I do that? I keep U as it is, and I replace VW by the edge XY. Okay, and I split the neighbors in an appropriate manner. But notice that G has a 3-vertex cut, which is not a contradiction because it was 3 connected, so it could very well have a 3-vertex cut. And all the edges of the graph, either they are in one of the red or blue pieces, or otherwise they go like this. In particular, X, Y, and the vertex U, they constitute a 3-vertex cut of the graph. So whenever an edge cannot be contracted to preserve 3 connectivity, the ends of that edge participate in a 3-vertex cut in the graph G with some other vertex. That is what I wanted to tell you about. So the lemma that we have just proved is the following. If G is a 3-connected graph of order 5 or more, and EXY is an edge of the graph such that G contract E is not 3-connected, then the reason this happens is that there exists a vertex Z, which in our drawing was U. There exists a vertex Z such that XYZ is a 3-vertex cut in the graph G. And we have just proved this. Does everybody agree? Any questions about the proof of this? The only reason for a graph, for an edge to not be contractible to preserve 3 connectivity is because the ends of that edge participate in a 3-vertex cut with some other vertex in the graph G. Okay? So this tells us something about the structure of edges that cannot be contracted to preserve 3 connectivity. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it is if and only if. The other direction is very clear. If the edge participates in a 3-vertex cut, if the ends of the edge participate in a 3-vertex cut, when you contract that edge, you will get a 2-vertex cut in the original graph, right? So it is actually if and only if. Okay. Any questions or concerns? So we are going to use this lemma to prove our main theorem, which is to show that there is an edge that can be contracted to preserve 3-vertex 3 connectivity. I suppose my video has stopped, right? Am I still audible?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so now we are back to proving theorem 9.10. So we have a 3 connected graph of order 5 or more, and our goal is to show that there exists an edge E such that G contract E is 3 connected. Okay. So the way we are going to do this is we are going to, okay, so this is a very nice proof technique. I don't know if it's been given any name or not, but it comes up in graph theory very often. The idea is that, and I'm sure it's not just about graph theory, it probably comes up in most areas of mathematics. The idea is we are going to find a way to get this edge, right? So we will associate with each edge a certain parameter. Okay, so what's that parameter? We'll talk about it in a bit. We will associate with each edge some parameter. And we will try to maximize or minimize that parameter. And when we reach the maximum, we will get the desired edge. That's the idea. Okay. So we will, all of this will become more precise as we proceed. So let's see. Let me just get started with the proof. Okay. So we will write the proof by contradiction, but as I said, you can also turn it into a constructive proof and to convert it into an algorithm, which will actually be polynomial time algorithm, if you care about that sort of stuff. Okay. So let us suppose that the statement is false. Suppose that the statement is false, right? In other words, for each edge of the graph, when you contract the edge, the resulting graph is not 3 connected. Okay. So let's remember again, what does it look like? What is the situation of the graph when you contract an edge and it is not 3 connected? We go back to this drawing here. In this case, that the ends of that edge participate in a 3 vertex cut with some other vertex, Z, let's say. Okay. Good. So by the previous lemma, there exists a vertex Z, which is clearly not X or Y. Let's say E is equal to XY, such that X, Y, and Z is a 3 vertex cut of G. Okay, let me make a slightly more general drawing now that we need to do something more sophisticated. So this is a situation, X, Y, Z, and we get a bunch of components. Let us suppose we get some 3 components when we delete these 3 vertices. Okay, and all the edges of the graph, they are either in one of these components or they look like this. Okay. So what we will do is we will use this structure to find a better edge. What do I mean by better? I will explain. E is not a good edge because when I contract E, the 3 connectivity is not preserved. In fact, I have assumed that all of the edges are not good, right? But another way to think about it is we have got this edge. We want to somehow find an edge that will take us closer to 3 connectivity. Okay, that's another way to think about what we are going to do now. We are going to find an edge in this drawing that will somehow be better than the edge E. Or in our proof that we are doing right now, it will contradict the edge E somehow. Okay, so here is the plan. We choose an edge E and a vertex Z. Remember, with every edge E, there is a vertex Z associated. So that XYZ is a three vertex cut of the graph. So we will choose an edge E and a vertex Z such that, um, so that, so that in the graph after deleting the three vertices, so E is again XY. When I delete the three vertices, I have a component that is as large as possible. So I at some point use the word maximize, minimize. So I'm trying to maximize the size of the largest component when I delete these three vertices. Okay? For every edge, there is a vertex Z, so that when you delete the three vertices X, Y, Z, you get a bunch of components, at least two components. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose an edge and a vertex in such a way that the size of the largest component is as big as possible. Okay? So let's say, as per this drawing, F is the largest component. Okay? Good. So, what's the plan now? If you just think about what we have done so far, we have chosen an edge and a vertex to maximize a certain quantity, which is the size of the largest component. We are doing a proof by contradiction. So, what we want to do now is we want to show that there exists another edge and a corresponding vertex. Let's say E prime and Z prime. So that the choice of E prime and Z prime will contradict the choice of E and Z. Okay? So that's where we are heading. We are going to contradict the choice of E and Z. Okay? And that basically means that all edges cannot be bad edges. There has to be an edge so that when you contract it, the graph is three connected. Okay? So our goal now is to contradict the choice of E and Z. Okay? How are you going to do that? Here is the plan. We are going to take a neighbor of Z in some component that is not F, let's say U. And we are going to take this as our edge F. So F is going to be the edge that we are going to use to contradict the choice of E. And we need to also identify the vertex corresponding to that. Okay. So let U denote a neighbor of Z in some component that is not, that is distinct from F. What do I mean? Component of G minus XYZ. Are there any questions at this point? I claim that such a vertex has to exist. In fact, I will make a stronger claim here that I will let you think about on your own. Because the graph is three connected and you have found a three vertex cut, each of these vertices X, Y, Z will have at least one neighbor in all of the boxes that I've drawn. So in fact, I'll let you think about this on your own. Each of X, Y, and Z must have a neighbor in each component of G minus XYZ. Otherwise, you will contradict three connectivity itself. Okay, so what I will do is I will pick a neighbor of z in some component that is not f, that is not capital F. I don't like this. Capital F, small f. Okay, let me call this E prime. Okay, and let E prime denote the edge joining Z and U. Okay, now this edge is also not contractible in the sense that if you contract it, the graph will not be three connected. Okay, because we have assumed that no edge has this property. Otherwise, we would have nothing to prove. So, since G contract E prime is also not three connected, there exists a vertex Z prime such that the two ends of E prime ZU along with the vertex Z prime is a three vertex cut of G. Right? This is again by lemma 9.11. Okay, so what we have done so far is we have found an edge E prime, and corresponding to that edge, there is going to be a vertex Z prime, so that the ends of E prime, Z and U, along with the vertex Z prime, form a three vertex cut of the graph G. Okay, I want to now convince you that the choice of E prime and Z prime contradicts the choice of E and Z. So, right. To argue that E prime Z prime contradicts the choice of E and Z. We chose E and Z in such a way that there was a component that was as big as possible after deleting the vertices X, Y, Z. Right? So I want to now convince you that when you delete the ends of E prime and the vertex Z prime, you will get a component that is bigger than the component F. It will have more vertices than the number of vertices in F. Okay. So claim G delete Z union U and Z prime, right? So these are the ends of E prime, has a component that has more vertices than the number of vertices in F. Right? So let's not worry about how we prove this. I just want you all to think about this, everything we have done so far, and notice that if we prove this claim, then we are done. We have a contradiction and we have proved the result. So supposing we prove this, then we are actually done. Does everybody agree that all we need to do now is to prove this claim? Are there any questions or concerns regarding what we have done so far? Is everybody happy with the proof so far? I'm going really slow because I don't intend to do much more than this proof today. Okay. So if there are any questions, this is really a good time to ask questions. Right? It is a different proof than any proof we have seen so far in the course. In terms of the overall strategy of proving the result. Okay. So if there are no questions, then let's see why when we delete the vertices Z, U. So let's go back to this drawing. I want you all to focus on this drawing here. So what are we going to show? We are going to show that when we delete these three vertices Z, U, and another vertex Z prime, which is somewhere, I don't know where it is. I want to convince you that when you delete these three vertices, you will get a component that is bigger than F in the number of vertices. Okay? All right. So, how do we show that? We are going to use some stuff from 2Connectivity. The original graph is 3 connected. So when I delete a vertex, what I get is a 2 connected graph. In particular, if I delete the vertex Z, then I will have a 2 connected graph. Okay? And in this 2 connected graph, XY is a 2 vertex cut. This is a 2 vertex cut in the graph G minus Z. And this is 2 connected. G minus Z is 2 connected. Okay? Now I claim that if I take the graph induced by the vertices of F union X and Y, I claim that this graph is also 2 connected. I know that the graph G minus Z is 2 connected. XY is a 2 vertex cut in this graph. And F is one of the components of G minus Z minus X and Y. So now I'm going to take that piece F along with the vertices X and Y and the edge joining X and Y, right? And I claim that this graph is 2 connected. If I can prove that this graph is 2 connected, then I would have proved my claim as well. So I'm going to argue that the graph induced by the vertices of F union X and Y is 2 connected. If I show that this graph is 2 connected, then I can also prove this claim. Why? I am arguing that this is enough to prove the claim. Well, what are we doing? We are deleting the vertices Z, U, and Z prime. So Z and U are here. So the only vertex that could be in this part of the graph is Z prime. Z prime could be somewhere here. But if this graph is 2 connected, when I delete Z prime, this graph will still be connected. And so it will be a component after deleting the three vertices Z, U, and Z prime. And this component is bigger than F because I have added 2 vertices to F and then I've deleted one vertex Z prime. So it has at least one more vertex than the number of vertices in F. Supposing I prove this, then notice that. So let's call this H. Let me give this a name. Let us call this H. Notice that H minus Z prime is connected in G minus Z U Z prime because I have proved that H is 2 connected. I still need to convince you that H is 2 connected. Okay. So this means thus H minus Z prime belongs to is a subgraph of some component of G minus Z U Z prime. And notice that the number of vertices in H minus Z prime is greater than the number of vertices in F, because I have added two vertices to F, X and Y, and then I've deleted one vertex at most. So I'm going to have at least one more vertex than the number of vertices in F. So now the only thing I need to convince you about is that this graph H is two connected. Okay? And this is something we have already done. Go back to marked S components of a graph. This is something we did 2 lectures ago. We have a two connected graph. X and Y is a two vertex cut. If I take any marked S component, then that will also be two connected. So what is a marked S component where S is equal to XY? A marked S component will be take the component F along with the vertices X and Y and add one more edge. But adding a parallel edge does not affect vertex connectivity unless your graph is complete. That's a different story. But in general, the vertex connectivity of a graph is the same as the vertex connectivity of the underlying simple graph. Okay? If you have a pair of non-adjacent vertices. So whether I add this extra edge or not, it does not matter. And this graph is going to be two connected. Right? So this is two connected because since H is a marked XY component of the two connected graph G minus Z, and after removing one parallel edge. And we know that marked components are two connected if the original graph is two connected. Okay, so this is it. We have finished the proof. We have found an edge E prime and there is a vertex Z prime. I don't know where Z prime is. I don't care about it. But the point is that when you delete the ends of E prime and the vertex Z prime, you will get a component that has more vertices than the component F. And that contradicts the choice of the edge E and the vertex Z that we had made. Right? Okay, any questions? Shivam, Shayoni, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, was the proof today clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I want to have a short discussion with you.
Yes.
Since actually, let me stop recording.